The Suzuki Jimny absolutely slaps. You know it, I know it, and the stats back it up. Last year it sold 7,000 units in Australia. That's pretty good. That was a down year. The year before, 10,000 units. The point is, there are thousands of Aussies that want a simple, back to basics, affordable off-road car. And really, the Jimny has been their only choice. Until now. This is the Renault Duster, and it's here to cut the Jimny's lunch. Question is, does it have what it takes? Yeah. Ooh. Oi. Left my stomach behind back there. I love this place. Get into it! Well, the brakes work. This might seem like a niche market, but the Jimny is Suzuki's biggest seller by a country mile. And the Kia Stonic, Honda HR-V and Nissan Qashqai are just some of the cars it outsells. It also outsold Renault's entire range, so the French carmaker would very much like to steal some of its thunder. So the Suzuki Jimny 4x4 off-road SUV we have here is the automatic model, because that's all that Suzuki had at the time. This one has the chiffon ivory metallic paint, worst name ever, and the two-tone black roof. And it's the worst name because it actually looks really cool, like the Safari one. And altogether, you're looking at about 45,000 bucks for this vehicle. If you go with the manual, take about $2,500 off the price. The Renault Duster is the base grade 4x4, which is called the Evolution, and this costs around $41,000 drive away when you add in this optional sandstone paint. There is a more expensive Techno version, it's about 1,500 bucks more, but like for like, this vehicle is a few $1,000s cheaper than the Jimny. Both cars offer 5-year unlimited kilometre warranties, and the Renault is about 300 bucks cheaper to service over 5 years. However, the Duster's service intervals are 12 months or 30,000 kilometres, so that could be handy if you're someone who does a lot of miles. In terms of powertrains, your only choice in the Jimny is this 1.5 litre 4-cylinder petrol engine, and in this vehicle it's attached to a 4-speed automatic transmission, and as you can see, it's filthy. Yes, we've done plenty of off-road testing in this already. It's a little more complicated in the Renault. There's a few choices. This one, the 4x4, is only available with a 1.2 litre 3-cylinder turbo petrol engine hooked up to a 6-speed manual. Pick the front-wheel drive Renault Duster and it comes with a bigger, more powerful 1.3 litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine, and that is hooked up to an automatic transmission. One advantage of the Renault smaller engine is that it is more efficient, at least on paper. And it has a bigger fuel tank too, 55 litres in this one, 40 litres in the Jimny.
So today we're putting these two head to head, from detailed interior reviews to whether either of them still work for that classic Aussie four-wheel drive lifestyle. Things like travelling Australia and weekend camping trips. And when you start thinking about rooftop tent setups, budget overlanding, a bit of outback travel or some proper remote camping, suddenly that boot space starts to matter a whole lot more.
Okay, now it's time to hit the road, and then we're going to hit the gravel tracks, and then we're going to take them off-road, and you'll want to stick around for this because it's very, very interesting. First up, the Duster, and let's start with a negative. Let me put it this way, you are not going to be dusting anyone in this thing. Simply put, it is slow. Not disastrously so. It will do the highway speed limit fine, triple digits, 110, no drama, and it keeps up with traffic pretty well, but there are some issues with driving this little fella. The first is that this little petrol engine has a teeny tiny power band. The fact that peak power hits at 4,500 RPM kinda says it all. Renault claims that this vehicle has 230 Nm of torque, which is actually pretty good and way more than the Jimny, but here's the problem. It pops out in a tiny little burp, super low in the rev range. So yeah, you get this little fart low down and then nothing. Sure, it's easy enough to get going, and it does help moving away from standstill with that low end torque, all that thrust low in the rev range, but then you got to change gear, which brings me to the next issue.
The Duster has crazily short gearing, and combine this with the fact that power effectively disappears over 5,000 RPM. First gear 30k, second gear 50k, third gear 80k, you are having to change gears a lot. I actually don't hate it in some ways, because for the couple of weeks I've been driving it, it's been fun. It's like a little sports car, and I haven't driven a manual in a very, very long time. But if you're commuting with this vehicle or in heavy traffic, it can get pretty tiresome. The left arm's going to get a bit of a workout. That said, the gearing is so low, you can take off in second gear, you can leave it in third gear around almost any corner. So you can be a little bit lazy with it at times, and when you're out on country roads, it is a lot easier to drive for sure. And you know, you've got all the creature comforts like cruise control. This one does have lane keep assists, doesn't have lane centering, so you can't go like hands off the wheel, but it will sort of bring you in from the edges if you stray too far. It's not bad. The shifts themselves are not bad. There's a bit of technique to making them smooth, but look, you know, this will be a problem for this car because less than 5% of new car sales are for manuals these days, and most of those are in utes. So yeah, Renault needs to get that auto gearbox in this 4x4 model if it wants to truly make a dent in the market. And getting back to this insipid little engine, it would be good if this vehicle was offered with a more powerful 1.3 litre 4-cylinder engine. It would just give it, you know, a bigger ticker, a bit more heart. The rest of the package is actually pretty good. It rides pretty well on the road, it's got pretty good comfort, it's easy to place in your lane, and the steering is light but accurate. It's quite nice to drive, to be honest. But again, you're gonna be working this gearbox pretty hard when you encounter a twisting, turning road, lots of corners or some hills. One thing I love about this car, and a few other Renaults, and I think Land Rover might be the only other one that does it, is it has a kill switch for the safety suite, the entire lot. Hit that twice, oh, press again, boom, everything turned off. No beeping, no bleeping, no nothing, done. And I think that is fantastic, and every car should have it. Another thing that's a bit annoying with this car is the fact that it would be nice to have a big rev counter, a big tachometer, because the only rev meter you have is this tiny little thing that's hard to read. It would be nice to have a big circular dial, even an analog dial, I don't know, just so you know where you're at with the engine. You want to know something? I see a lot of these plucky little micro mud pluggers getting around in the city, getting around in the burbs, and being used as a commuter car. And weirdly, there is some merit to this. Even in this 5-door guise, it's still quite small. It's really easy to park. Vision is excellent. You've got big upright windows all the way around. You've got big square mirrors. It's really easy to survey the world around you. And yes, this is useful when you're off-road, but it's also useful when you're surrounded by trucks on the freeway or traffic at the traffic lights. Ride quality, not quite as good as the Duster, but look, it's okay on these relatively smooth country roads, and the fact it's got an automatic transmission means you're not changing gears every 37 milliseconds like in the Duster. Let me qualify that by saying it's not more fun to drive than the Duster, but it is easier to drive. But this vehicle has some pretty serious compromises that you're going to want to know about. Firstly, she's a noisy little thing. Not only the engine, but there's also quite a few thumps and bumps coming through to the cabin. The steering, it's a bit woolly, it's not very responsive, and the turning circle is not good either. To be blunt, the Jimny is a pretty lousy drive on sealed roads. Unless you're coming from maybe a 1972 Toyota Corolla that's full of rust and is only running on 3 out of 4 cylinders. The agricultural 3-link solid axles you get front and rear, the suspension in this car, they work really well off-road, but if you go over a pothole, this thing bounces around like a pogo stick. And while I thought the Duster engine was gutless, this engine is appalling. It couldn't pull the skin off cold custard. It is
gutless, completely and utterly gutless. There are some weird positives though. Although it doesn't have any driver distraction nannies beeping and bleeping, it doesn't need them because it does have a solution to keeping the driver engaged, because at high speeds driving this vehicle is intense. You cannot relax for a minute driving this car at triple digit speeds. It requires constant steering corrections. There's this very vague dead zone in the middle, and if it gets windy, watch out. This super lightweight slab-sided box on wheels gets moved around. So yeah, you've got to have your wits about you. And then there's the AEB issue. On multiple occasions, the AEB camera system, detector sensor, deactivated several times. And this was during pretty inclement weather. We had some pretty heavy rain. So heavy rain spray off the back of vehicles. These are the exact situations where you need it most. And look, you're off-road, you get mud on the camera. I get it. That's fair enough. But for this to happen on the freeway, clean car, in the rain, that is deplorable. When you're on the open road and you want to have an overtake, the engine's always revving hard and you need almost chess master levels of precognition to plan ahead for your overtaking. It's pretty full on. The brakes too, they're pretty weak. You've got discs on the front, drums on the back. So you do need to be a little bit measured when you're slowing down from higher speeds. Factor in this bobbly chassis that doesn't do much around corners. It's got a fair bit of body roll and it's narrow, feels really, really ponderous. And this is kind of like what a vehicle, 2 or 3 decades ago would have felt like new. But weirdly, for all that, I still kind of love it. Part of me will forgive it for a lot of these issues. It's weird. But let's not forget that Jimny has been designed to do its best work off-road. So while it might not be too pleasant on the way to the bush, it's absolutely great once you're out here. On faster gravel roads, the stability control is clumsy, and even when you turn it off, it switches back on above 30 kilometers an hour. But I do like the fact that you have a manual handbrake, so you can do stuff like this. But the tougher the terrain, the happier the Jimny is. Outstanding approach and departure angles are very, very handy, as is ground clearance of 210 millimeters. I mean, compared to some bigger four-wheel drives, it's not great, but for something like this, it's pretty damn good. Indeed, the Jimny punches above its weight when it comes to off-roading. It's always been the case with the Suzukis, all the way back to the Sierra. They have been rock solid off-road. They're just awesome little rock hoppers. All right, we're getting a little bit of wheel spin. I'm in rear drive at the moment, so shove it in 4 high. Full drive. Nice, very nice. This Jimny is not perfect though. You do have to be a little more careful with your lines because of the narrow tyres and also the lack of a rear locking diff. It's quite muddy here and I really, really don't want to get bogged. I gotta say though, it is remarkable what this car can scrabble up. It just feels so light on its feet. All right, what's this like? That looks a bit boggy. Might go this way. We've had some massive rains here. We're in Victoria and it feels like Queensland weather. It's been incredibly hot, humid and very, very wet. So these usually dry tracks are quite muddy. A big part of this vehicle's incredible ability to just climb up anything and go anywhere is its weight or lack thereof. Just like a high performance Lotus sports car can run rings around much more powerful, expensive vehicles around the racetrack because of its lightweight, so too can this Jimny. All right, let's give hill descent control a go. And It's flashing on the stability control there, hitting the ABS. Yeah, look, it works. It's not amazing. I think I'd actually prefer to turn it off and do it myself, thanks. It just grips and goes. Yes, the fuel tank is small and the engine is a bit wheezy. This is pretty full-on terrain today. I wasn't expecting it to be quite this intense. But still, you engage 4 low and this thing will clamber up really muddy inclines and washed out trails with surprising ease. It gives you real confidence behind the wheel. Get some all-terrain tyres, a rear locker, and this would be a right weapon. Maybe a supercharger might help as well. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Yeah, fun. Oh, oi. Okay, into the Dacia, the Renault Duster, and no great surprise, it's not as good as the Jimny off-road. But it's better than you probably think. On gravel, it feels a little bit more predictable, a little bit more stable, especially at higher speeds. It feels at home, it feels comfortable here on fast-flowing gravel roads. But there's no manual park brake, so yeah, just slamming the brake and trying to do a 90-degree turn doesn't really work. But it does match the Jimny for ground clearance. Ooh, little touch there though. I think the front chin is not quite as high off the ground, approach and departure angle's not quite as good, but it will go down tracks that most owners would never even contemplate in this sort of vehicle. And I can say that because we've tested it and it does. So there is an off-road mode that we are going to flick into, and that one's called Mud Sand. We're going to go one further to off-road, which says four-wheel drive lock. Technically, it doesn't have a mechanical diff lock, but it does electronically decide where the torque and the power from the engine should go between the front and rear axles. So better than a poke in the eye with a blunt stick. So it does a pretty good job of sending power to the wheels that are going to give it the best grip. But this one has more wheel spin than the Jimny. The most important thing you have to remember about this vehicle is the fact it's got no underbody protection. So big dips, potholes, ruts, you have to treat them with a little bit of extra care. You have to sort of plan your lines a little bit more judiciously than in the Jimny. But that low gearing that can make on-road driving a little busy also rears its head off-road. In some ways, the low gearing is useful off-road, but when you're trying to crawl slowly along at 5 kilometers an hour, it can be a little frustrating. It requires a lot of control over clutch and throttle and gear selection. Heading over particularly steep sections, you have to dip the clutch, for instance, because you're going to be going too slow to just leave it locked in first gear. Simply put, this is not designed to go hardcore off-roading. I'm not sure whether we should be putting it through this stuff, but we're giving it a red hot go anyway. Yeah, so it's not designed for hardcore off-roading. It doesn't have a locking rear diff, or any locking diff for that matter, but it goes all right. I think that noise means stop doing that. Ooh, you're gonna run into trouble. Ding, 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 ding. Ah, she's right. Just give it a bit. Get into it. Get into it. This thing does have a fair bit of pluck off-road. I'm surprised. It is very muddy. There's a lot of soft clay and oh, ooh. Yeah, she don't like that. Oh. Let's test hill descent control. Mate, you've got to get a hacksaw and just grind that front chin spoiler out a little bit. It's the only thing really stopping this car from going a little harder off-road. And maybe some all-terrain tyres. And maybe a locking rear diff. Okay, a lot of things. We in first gear, we are. We've got to dip the clutch for this. right, here we go, up and over. Oi! Left my stomach behind back there. But as I mentioned before, the Duster is much better on gravel roads, and this is where it really comes alive. It's so much fun. Because when you pop it in off-road mode like this, the electronic stability control takes a back seat up to 100 k's an hour, so you can actually have a little bit of fun in this thing. And in a car that drives this nicely, having that ability to have a bit of fun is very, very welcome indeed. These two cars are not for people that like the finer things in life. Take the Duster, for instance. If you want to start this engine, you got to take the key, you got to put it in, you got to twist it. Most modern cars these days have a push button, and some you can even sit in the seat and there's detection things in the cushion, you just drive off. So these vehicles are built to a budget. They've got cloth seats that are manually adjustable, and all the dash plastics are hard and scratchy, but there is merit to this approach. The overall design is quite pleasing. You've got these hexagonal, 8 sides, octagonal air vents that look nice. They feel pretty cheap, as does all the other plastics, but it kind of looks good. I like the overall design. You know, there's some nice textures on some of the, again, nasty plastics. And this section here, the heating controls, are really lovely. They're physical controls, and they've got knurling on them. They've got little grooves, and, oh, better turn that off. And the same can be said for the stalks, bits of knurling, and even here on the gear shifter. But this one's not so good because this is going to leave calluses on your left hand after a while, and you will be changing gears a lot in this car. I'll get to that later. The driving position is actually really good. I like this, and the manually adjustable seats are 6-way manually adjustable, so the extras apart from the backrest and sliding this is height, which is good. I like that. I like being nice and low. You've also got dual zone climate control, that's good, and the steering wheel also adjusts for reach and rake, in and out, up and down. It makes that driving position much nicer. There isn't a whole lot of tech in this car, but the screen is nice, 10.1 inches, and like a lot of things in this car, the simplicity. You've got the volume control up the top here, physical. They're buttons, but it's pretty cool. There's another button to change it to a minimal display or turn it off. It's got smartphone mirroring, so Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, wired or wireless. And you've also got the wireless phone charger down here, which is a real bonus, plus 2 USB-C ports for charging, and they both connect to the system as well, which is good. And there's a couple of buttons over here as well with some extra controls. Yeah, nice. Now into the Jimny, and this is all pretty standard stuff in the cabin. If the year was 1992. Okay, that is a little bit of an exaggeration because you do have a 9-inch central touchscreen here. It's color, it looks nice. You've got digital radio on there, always good, and you've got wireless smartphone mirroring, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, although it has played funny buggers with that and it doesn't always want to connect to my phone, which is a bit annoying. But getting back to that 1992 reference, where do I start? The steering wheel is only height adjustable, which for people with long legs can be annoying. That said, the seating position actually isn't too bad. You sit quite high, but there's no adjustment for height on the seat. It's 4-way manual adjust, forward, back, and then just the backrest forward and back as well. So, You only get 4 speakers with the stereo system. The gear stick looks like it's something out of a toy car, and it has an overdrive button down here. An overdrive button. Kids, look it up. There's no wireless phone charger. There's no USB-C ports. There is one USB-A here, better than nothing. And you only get single zone climate control here. Although that said, this cabin is so small, it kind of gets away with it, and the air conditioning works pretty well. You do get electric windows all the way around. The electric window buttons are here for the front and here for the rear. And you also get a leather steering wheel, which is actually not too bad. The controls on the steering wheel work quite well, and these controls around here for the heating and cooling are simple and kind of cool as well. I don't mind them. Storage solutions, pretty average as well. Tiny glove box, little shelf there, couple of cup holders, and the door bins are just thin. You're never going to get a bottle in there. I had to store my water bottle between the seat and the door to stop it rattling around during the off-road testing we did a few days ago. I do like the fact you get a manually operated park brake for potential shenanigans. I mean, parking properly, and you've got the four-wheel drive system is operated via this lever here. So at the moment it's in 2 high, rear drive. Now it's in 4 high, and to get it into 4 low, push it in, and a little bit of muscle there. And yeah, not too shabby. When it comes to parking, the Duster definitely has the better rear camera. The Jimny's is truly awful, but the Suzuki has front and rear parking sensors rather than just rear sensors in the Renault. The Renault Duster created headlines with a 3-star ANCAP rating, but its adult protection was okay and the child protection was excellent. It was just pedestrian protection and safety assist that let the side down. As for the Jimny, while its ANCAP rating from 2018 has expired, it also scored 3 stars for very similar reasons to the Duster. In the back of the Duster, there's enough room for 2 6-foot tall adults, about 183, something like that. Headroom is not too bad, legroom not too shabby either. And unlike a lot of cars at this price point, this one has twin air vents and twin USB-C ports. I like that. And there's a little widget here, which is really cool. There's a very awesome removable torch light thing in the boot that can be put here, and little touches like that, I really like them. You've got twin ISOFIX seat anchorages and triple top tethers, and getting the baby seats in here is easy. We did actually get a baby seat in the back of the Jimny too, so it can be done, even though it is a lot tighter. Yeah, you've got grab handles, there's a light here, little bag hooks. There's no back seat pockets here, and tiny bit of storage in the doors. But overall, it's actually a pretty comfy place to chill out. Yeah. So the back seat of the Jimny is basically a Rolls-Royce Cullinan. It's amazing. It's actually, it's not great. The headroom is pretty tight. Legroom is not amazing, but for the size of this car and what you get, I don't hate it back here. The headrests are pretty comfy when you adjust them. And given a 182, 183 centimetre tall human like myself can sit here and not be completely cramped, isn't too shabby. And it's a 2+2. It's a sports car as well as a luxury car, because it's just a 2-seater. You got the 2 seat belts, so you do have a little bit of room between the other passenger. But yeah, amenities not great. You've pretty much got the air around you, and that's it. There's no USB ports. There's no air vents. And yeah, there's pretty much this grab handle, electric window operation, and you can sort of use the cup holders up front, and there's seat back pockets. And bonus points if you can tell me what this is. Leave it in the comments below. Oops. A few reasons why people love the Jimny is because it looks cool, but it's also got a lot of branded equity. It's kind of funky, and it's got its own really distinct personality. But the Renault is trying hard, and it does okay. You've got this little Easter egg here. You can get a rooftop tent as well for about 2,300 bucks. There's heaps of cool accessories, which is good. This one's also got this floor mat with the topographical stuff on it. That's about 120 bucks. And how's this? The little boot light can go down like that, and you can use it as a separate little, torch. I think this is fantastic. I like this. Boot space in the Renault is clearly superior to the Jimny, and it has an almost full-size spare tyre under here. You've got the jack, and amenity is pretty good too. There's a shopping hook fold out here, a little light, another shopping hook there, and you can fold down the rear seats too. Interestingly, this boot floor is a little bit higher than the front-wheel drive version because it has more advanced multi-link rear suspension, whereas the front-wheel drive versions have the more basic torsion beam rear suspension, so you get a bit more boot space in that version. I love that you get a full-size spare tyre on the back, and while the Jimny's small bum is good for departure angles, it doesn't do much for boot space. You're not going to get a whole lot in there. A couple of shopping bags, a swag maybe. Yeah, it's okay, but not great. Amenity is not much chop either. There's no tie-down points, but really, it's so small. stuff's not going to move around much anyway. You do have a 120 watt 12 volt socket, a small light, and there's some useful little accessory bolt holes here, and the fold down seats as well. Yeah. The Jimny is a bit like a budget 70 series. It's pretty much completely outdated in almost every way, but it still performs the role for which it was designed very, very effectively, and people love it for that, and rightly so. But unless you're going really hardcore bush bashing, this Renault Duster is the better car. In fact, it's a really good car that deserves a lot more consideration from Aussie buyers. But like anything, it might take a while for this vehicle to gain the recognition it deserves, but I feel like it will. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen. In an era where everything seems to be getting more complex and more expensive, this is the perfect antidote. Look at it like this. It's the automotive equivalent of AC/DC or a great pub meal. Simple ingredients done really, really well. And you know what? The two-wheel drive version with the automatic transmission will probably make more sense for most buyers. But the rugged simplicity of this little 4x4 with a manual transmission gives it a lot of character. It's really quite charming, and I would wholeheartedly recommend taking it for a test drive. And if you do, you agree with me, leave a comment. If you disagree, leave a comment. Just leave comments. We love it. So, the Jimny can go further off-road, no doubt about it. But to answer that question I posed at the start of the test, yes, the Renault can indeed cut the Jimny's lunch. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments, what should we do for our next comparison?